Good evening, I'm Edlin Gao, sitting in for Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big story is tonight. Malacanang denies former Congressman Zaldy Co's claim that it was President Marcos himself who messed up the 2025 national budget by ordering an insertion of 100 billion pesos.
Sitting and former senators are again tagged in kickbacks for flood control projects by the so-called mastermind of the scheme, a once powerful public works official.
And people are still talking about destabilization plots coming out of rallies between now and November 30, but authorities say that such scenarios are far-fetched.
Katatapos lang ng meeting ni Pangulo at may instructions na mag-insert o magpasok ng 100 billion worth of projects sa BICAM. Kumbaga, ang utos ng hari hindi pwedeng mabali.
These wild accusations are pure hearsay. President Marcos Jr. himself exposed all these flood control anomalies.
Lumiliit na ang mundo ni Zaldy Co. Kailangan niyang mag-name drop kahit walang katibayan at laway lang ang puhunan.
He may have been disinvited today to the Senate Blue Ribbon hearing, but it was the voice of resigned Congressman Zaldy Co that was heard the loudest today. In a surprise video posted on his Facebook page, Co broke his silence on the allegations against him. The bigger bombshell, he implicated President Bongbong Marcos in budget insertions for government projects worth at least 100 billion pesos. Take a listen.
Nagsimula ito nung tumawag si Sekmina, pangandaman sa akin, nung nag-umpisa ang BICAM process last year, 2024. Ang sabi niya, katatapos lang ng meeting nila ni Pangulo at may instructions na mag-insert o magpasok ng 100 billion worth of projects sa BICAM. At sinabi pa ni Sekmina, you can confirm with Yusek Adrian Bersamin dahil magkasama sila sa meeting ni Pangulong BBM noong araw na yon. Tinawagan ko po agad si Yusek Adrian Bersamin at tinanong ko kung may instruction nga ba ang Pangulo na magpasok ng 100 billion during their meeting. Ang sabi niya ay totoo nga po. Kaya po nagtataka ako kung bakit sinasabi ni Pangulo na hindi niya makilala ang budget, samantalang lahat na binawas at dinagdag sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno ay humihingi ng approval sa kanya si Sekmina Pangandaman.
Co says that he intended to come home after President Marcos' State of the Nation address last July, but then House Speaker Martin Romualdez told him to stay put. The former Ako Bicol Party List congressman says there are threats to his life.
Umalis ako noong July 19, 2025 para sa aking medical check-up. Nakaplanong bumalik pagkatapos ng SONA ni Pangulo. Pero habang papauwi na ako, tinawagan ako ni dating Speaker Martin Romualdez at sinabihan, stay out of the country. You will be well taken care of as instructed by the President. Noon naniniwala pa ako sa kanila, kaya't hindi ako bumalik. Tumikom ang aking bibig, sumunod ako, pero ang hindi ko alam, ang ibig pala nilang sabihin sa aalagaan ka namin ay gagamitin ako bilang panakipbutas sa kanilang kampanya laban sa korupsyon. Ginawa nila akong poster boy ng kanilang sariling kasinungalingan. Sana po ay hindi nila ako mapatay bago ko mailabas ang lahat. Ginagamit ng administrasyon ang buong resources ng bansa para tumahimik ako. That he will shoot me if I will talk. Hindi na ako mananahimik, ilalabas ko ang lahat ng katotohanan. May resibo, may ebidensya, at may pangalan.
Co also presented a list that supposedly shows where the alleged insertions were made. This, he says, were handed to him during a meeting with Romualdez, Budget Secretary Amena Pangandaman, Presidential Legislative Liaison Office Head Adrian Bersamin, and DOJ Undersecretary Jojo Cadiz. Co claims it was Cadiz who said the list came directly from Marcos himself. The first list shows at least 81 billion pesos of supposed insertions, while the other had 19 billion allocated in various agencies.
Pagkatapos ng isang araw, tinawagan ako ni Sekmina at sinabi ang mensahe ng Pangulo. Ipasok ninyo yan dahil pinangako na sa akin ni Speaker Martin yan at hindi na pwedeng baguhin. Kumbaga, ang utos ng hari hindi pwedeng mabali. Again, I informed the Speaker and asked clearance about the instructions ng Pangulo. At ang sabi niya, wala tayong magagawa.
Co ended his 5-minute video with a teaser that a second part was coming.
President Marcos is already aware of former Congressman Zaldy Co's video. Well, that's according to Malacanang. While there is still no official word from the president himself about the allegation, palace officials have dismissed Co's accusations as just lies and hearsay. Presidential Communications Office Secretary Dave Gomez reminded everyone who first blew the whistle on government corruption.
These wild accusations are completely without basis in fact. All the charges leveled against the president are pure hearsay. Let us not forget President Marcos Jr. himself exposed all these flood control anomalies and has taken numerous steps since to ensure that the guilty are brought to justice. Rep. Zaldy Co should come back to the country and sign everything he said under oath with the proper judicial authorities.
Palace Press Officer Claire Castro also fired back at Zaldy Co. Castro said the former lawmaker is just trying to deflect from his own alleged involvement by naming others and creating a false narrative.
Ang pagkakasangkot ng pangalan ni Zaldy Co ay bunga ng mga ebidensya, mga testimonya, at mga di umanong pagpapayaman niya na makikita sa mga ari-ariang naipundar nila. Dahil lumiliit na ang mundo ni Zaldy Co, kailangan niyang umiwas at iiwas ang sarili at mag-name drop kahit walang katibayan at laway lang ang puhunan.
Budget Secretary Amina Pangandaman also spoke at the press conference and explained that it is normal for the president to order appropriations in the National Expenditure Program.
All appropriations ordered by the President is already in the National Expenditure Program. That is why it is called the President's Budget. So we reject any insinuations about it. The BICAM is purely under the power of the legislature. We respect and strictly follow the budget process and all our actions are above board. Ang proseso ng budget, ginagawa po ng executive ng 6 na buwan ang ating President's Budget and National Expenditure Program. Ayon sa Constitution, we have 30 days after the State of the Nation Address para isubmit ang National Expenditure Program sa Kongreso. At ayon din sa Constitution, pagkatapos natin masubmit po ang budget sa Kongreso, magkakaroon po tayo ng briefings, di po ba? So ginawa din po yan ng executive para ma-explica po kung ano ang laman ng President's Budget at ng National Expenditure Program. Pagkatapos po nun, magde-deliberate na po sila. Wala na pong role ang Office of the President, ang executive sa BICAM.
Meanwhile, Senator Win Gatchalian considers Zaldy Co's video as serious claims against the president. Gatchalian, however, said the video needs to be verified amid insinuations that it was made by artificial intelligence or AI.
Para sa akin, basic, kung ikaw ay walang tinatago, dapat nandito ka physically. Harapin mo itong mga tanong, pumunta ka dito sa hearing at harapin mo yung mga akusasyon sa iyo. Hindi yung nagtatago ka tapos gagawa ka ng video. Yan ang pinaka-importante na magbe-vindicate sa iyo. Marami pa nga, may nagsasabi rin na artificial intelligence. Ako personally, hindi ko pa nakita yung video. No? Titignan ko nga ngayon pag-akyat ko. So, marami pang katanungan. No? But definitely, kung ano man yung sinasabi niya, mabigat yung kanyang sinasabi. Kaya dapat talagang kilatisin mabuti yung kanyang sinasabi. At also yung legalidad ng kanyang sinasabi.
Meanwhile, today's Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing saw a longer list of government officials and lawmakers allegedly involved in the flood control scandal. We are talking not about luggage of money anymore, but boxes upon boxes of cash. Mobile journalist Mary Monreyes has the report.
6 cardboard boxes, each with 20 million pesos in cold cash, and the paper bag with 5 million pesos. Former Public Works Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo said he handed these over to former Senator Bong Revilla in 2024. 125 million pesos of this, Bernardo himself supposedly delivered to Revilla's house in Bacoor, Cavite.
I saw Senator Revilla at the terrace. I walked over to Senator Revilla for a casual talk. While the boxes were being unloaded, Senator Revilla and I talked for about 20 to 25 minutes. I asked him, Sen, bakit hindi ka nangangampanya? Senator Bong replied, okay naman pare, maganda results ng survey. Relax muna.
Before the midterm elections campaign started in February this year, Bernardo said he delivered an additional 250 million pesos to Revilla. The former DPWH USEC also said he and Senator Jinggoy Estrada had been acquaintances for a long time. Estrada even recommended him for a district engineer post. In 2023, the senator allegedly asked for DPWH projects amounting to 500 million pesos. And Bernardo said former DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan himself approved the 450 million peso contract, with 18% commission for Estrada. 1.45 billion pesos made it to the 2025 General Appropriations Act. So the 25% commission for the senator shot up to 360 million pesos. Next to be tagged in the alleged kickback scheme, then Senator Nancy Binay. The now Makati mayor supposedly got 12% commission through her staff in 2023, amounting to at least 500 million pesos.
There were two deliveries. The first delivery amounted to 340 million at a house in Horseshoe Village, Quezon City, and the second delivery amounted to at least 200 million at another house, but also in Horseshoe Village, Quezon City. After the second delivery, Carlin told me, kinuha na ni Sir, salamat raw. Hindi ka raw kakalimutan sa Makati. The Sir refers to the husband of Senator Binay.
Bernardo added that when Chis Escudero became Senate President, Maynard Ngu, his contractor friend who donated to the lawmakers' 2022 campaign, asked for a list of projects for funding by the DPWH. The first delivery supposedly earned Escudero 160 million pesos, and the next 120 million pesos, both delivered to Ngu's building in Manila. Next on Bernardo's list, Senator Mark Villar, who was DPWH Secretary before Bonoan. The system then, former DPWH USEC Cathy Cabral would ask for detailed lists of projects with lump sum funding. Bernardo would either approve or forward this to Villar. The projects covered included major road projects like EDSA, where the commission was 10%. The kickback was allegedly divided among Villar's cousin, contractor Carlo Aguilar of I&D Construction, Cabral, and Bernardo. Bernardo believes the cut for Aguilar was actually for Villar, but he has no proof. Then, there's former Senator Grace Poe, whom Bernardo admitted he did not talk to directly. He cited Bonoan's statement that a project was allotted for Poe worth 500 million pesos, 20% of which amount was pocketed by a contractor. Another name in Bernardo's testimony, former Senator and now DepEd Secretary Sonny Angara. Bernardo said an education USEC transacted on behalf of Angara. All these cash deliveries, Bernardo said, were carried out under the instruction of Bonoan, whom he once looked up to as a role model.
Bonoan is a long-time DPWH official who has held top positions through different administrations. I look up to Sec Bonoan and consider him as a mentor. I treasure his guidance and friendship over the years.
Meantime, several of those tagged by Bonoan have issued denials. Revilla posted on Facebook, "Truth will always prevail. God bless the Philippines." Poe said it's alarming that her name was mentioned and insisted that, quote, "I have never been involved in corruption. This I can clearly say to all Filipinos." Senator Mark Villar called Bernardo's testimony a big lie. Binay also denied the accusation, while Angara said, quote, "In my 21 years in government, we have never been involved in corruption." Meanwhile, 15 congressmen, including Congressman Martin Romualdez, were a no-show in today's hearing. Speaker Boji D sent word to the Senate.
Now, according to Speaker D, the members will not be appearing before the committee today in order to avoid any possible prejudice to the ongoing investigation and eventual findings of the ICI, Independent Commission for Infrastructure, given that the invited members have already submitted themselves to its jurisdiction and proceedings.
Mid-hearing, senators ordered contractor Curly Discaya to produce the ledger that allegedly contains information on kickbacks given lawmakers. When the Discayas returned, they tagged, among others, lawmakers Roman Romulo, Marvin Rillo, Dean Asisio, Patrick Vargas, Marivic Pilar, Jojo Ang, and USEC Terence Calatrava and Roberto Bernardo. Curly also asked the Justice Department, also in the
Kay Sec.
hearing,
Bernardo
about the
naman
status of
po,
their application for the
through
Witness Protection
his,
Program.
For the past 2 months and a half, we have not heard from Mr. and Mrs. Diskaya. They have not gone back to the department. There is no such thing as an ex-deal here where they will provide us with documents and then we will immediately, or the Witness Protection Program will immediately give them a memorandum of agreement.
In other words, hindi kaliwaan.
Hindi po kaliwaan yan.
My advice to you, Mr. Diskaya, sumugal kayo ng konti. Wala yung hindi pwedeng siguruhan. Kasi once na ma-admit kayo, wala pa rin kasiguruhan na tuloy-tuloy kayo may immunity.
Kapatid mobile journalist Mary Monreyes, we are One News.
Let's discuss this further with our resident political pundit, and maybe we should call him a resident political insider, Ronald Llamas. Ronald, can you hear us?
Yes, gandang gabi.
Okay.
Ed, Shawn, Pauline.
Okay, Bok,
Long time no see.
Long time no see. Mabigat ang mga binitawan ni Zaldy Co, pero anong pagtitimbang mo dun sa mga binitawan niya? Among them, of course, 100 billion in insertions by the President himself, the source of the NEP to begin with, and yung kickbacks by the President.
Well, una ay hindi natin dapat i-outright i-reject yung testimony ni Zaldy Co. Diba? Dahil very dramatic yung kanyang pagsulpot. Pero at the same time, hindi rin natin kaagad dapat tanggapin en toto yung kanyang sinabi. Dahil medyo may mga sinabi siya na medyo weird lang ng konti. No? Konti lang. Halimbawa, ngayon lang ako nakakita ng presidente na gagawa ng insertions sa sarili niyang budget. Ibig sabihin, ikaw na gumawa ng budget, pinasok mo na in the first hand, di ba? yung ganong insertions. Rather than, hihingi ka ng insertions sa BICAM na basically sole prerogative ng legislators.
Okay. Bok, teka.
Sino tumatawa?
Hindi. The latter is unrelated. Pero ganito, Bok. The assertion that there were kickbacks on the part... I get what you mean about the budget insertions. Kasi nga, the NEP was sourced, of course, from Malacanang.
Yes.
Yun ang origin eh. And you're very familiar with the budget process because you were in Malacanang before. Pero
dito mo lang ipasok kung may mga gusto kang gawin. Whether yan ay legitimate or not, doon mo na ipasok. Bakit mo ipapasok sa BICAM? At bakit ikaw ang kakausap doon sa magpapasok? Kung ikaw ay presidente, i-delegate mo na lang. Pero yung isa ring medyo weird ay yung parang packaging ni Zaldy Co na siya ay biktima. Na siya ay mensahero. Na siya ay hindi principal. Tingin ko mahirap naman paniwalaan na siya ay fall guy lang, na siya ay biktima lang. Tingin ko mas madaling paniwalaan na siya ay principal. Pwedeng may ibang mga principal, pero hindi niya pwedeng tanggalin yung sarili niya as a principal. Ganun kasi yung dating eh. Parang nilalaglag mo somebody as the principal, tapos ikaw ay hindi. Baka mas maging credible pa yung kanyang testimony kung sabihin niya na yung kanyang role as a principal dito. Tapos, pangatlo, parang napakahalaga ng timing. Diba? Napakahalaga ng timing niyang kanyang testimony. Una, 2 days ago, sinabi niya ni Aimee na magte-testify si Zaldy Co.
Okay.
No? So, ibig sabihin, paano nalaman ni Aimee? Politically, magkaiba dapat sila ng political alliances ni Zaldy Co. Ibig sabihin, alam ni Aimee na parang bumaliktad na si Zaldy Co. No? Yun yung isang tingin ko na dapat suriin. Ikalawa ay merong mga parating na mga malalaking mobilizations na ang sinasabi may destabilization component. So ito ay parang designed as a trigger para doon sa next week. No, para sa next week. So may mga may mga sitwasyon na nagja-jive dito sa timing na ito. No? Without undermining yung content ng testimony, parang ito yung mga humahalo Humahalo rito. Parang medyo magkaroon ka ng kaunting question mark. O maliit na question mark.
Bok, let me
Maliit
just
lang naman.
squeeze in. You're saying that the timing is not coincidental.
Yes. Lalo na sa Pilipinas ay hindi ganun karami ang coincidental. No, marami rito ay by design. Kaya dahil sa ganyang klaseng timing, parang nakadesenyo yan. To have an effect, to be a trigger, no, towards something, no, na pinag-uusapan nyo yata sa Storycon at saka sa Safe House na ang tawag yata ay destabilization.
Sir Ronald, how do you assess the response of Malacanang? How do you think they're treating this? Ano? Are they paranoid? Kasi usap-usapan din na nagkaroon ng emergency security meeting, although that was dispelled already by Palace spokesperson Claire Castro. But how do you think they're approaching this now?
Well, dapat less defensive kayo. No, less defensive at ipaliwanag nyo yung budget process na parang off. Parang off na yung presidente magpapasok ng insertion sa sarili niyang budget. No? Tapos, ikalawa, yung sinabi ng presidente ay medyo okay yun, na umuwi na lang si Zaldy Co. Para yung sinasabi niyang resibo, yung sinasabi niyang ebidensya, ay mas dumaan sa due diligence at saka greater scrutiny. Diba? At dapat talaga tumuloy ito sa logical conclusion, di ba? Where the evidence will lead. Kung yung ebidensya ay talagang madadawit yung mga pinakamatataas na opisyal ng gobyerno, then so be it. Di ba? So be it. Pero kailangan makita natin dito, yung ebidensya. Yung sinasabing resibo. Yung sinasabing envelope. No? Hindi lang yung gobyerno ang dapat tumingin, dapat yung civil society ay makita rin yan. Dahil more than at any other time, involved ang civil society sa lahat ng pangyayaring ito.
Yung envelope na sinasabi mo in this case, kasi yung envelope we associate that with ERAP, is it the brown leather bag? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes. No? Yung laman daw ng mga projects. Parang listahan ng mga projects, etc. etc.
Napakadami.
So,
pinost niya sa Facebook niya. Were you able to kahit na skim through it?
Well, medyo mahaba eh.
Oo, super.
Hindi ko naman trabaho yan eh. Trabaho yan ng The Big Story.
Correct, tama ka doon. Pero ito na lang, no, nabanggit mo na mukhang bumaliktad na si Zaldy Co. Ang tanong na sunod doon ay, marami kasing, kumbaga, daming opposition, quote-unquote, groups right now. Kung bumaliktad siya, tumiwalag siya, nasan siyang panig ngayon?
Well, clearly, kung sino ang beneficiary ng kanyang testimony ay yung opposition. Yung clear beneficiary ng kanyang testimony are the Dutertes. No? At ang chismis ay may isang senador na kumausap sa kanya. No? Na ang chismis na may isang senador na nasa opposition na handler niya ngayon. Chismis lang naman 'yon. Chismis lang naman 'yon.
When you say opposition kasi, you have to be clear dahil a lot of groups are claiming to be the opposition.
Which opposition?
Kami opposition din kami. Definitely hindi kami 'yon.
Okay. Any idea kung aling opposition group?
Oo, the Duterte opposition. No?
Okay, so
The fake opposition.
Okay.
kasi kung ina-narrow down natin yung Senate minority which has 9 members, like can you narrow it down to like maybe 5? Isa doon sa 5 out of 9?
Tumawad ka pa.
So maghula eh. Sige, iwan na natin doon. Pero as to Pauline's question nga kanina na parang pagka-adjourn ni Ping Lacson nung hearing, bilang ka lang ng wala pang 5 minutes, nag-online na agad yung Malacanang press con. Is that timing also, does it give, like the vibe na masyado silang defensive?
Well, kailangan naman talaga nilang sagutin immediately.
Okay.
Pero ang usapin dito ay yung conduct, no? Dapat chill ka lang. Panahon naman ngayon ng mga chill lang, di ba? So chill ka lang, huwag ka masyadong defensive, huwag masyadong emotional. Pwede rin, bad cop, good cop. Merong magpe-present ng a more circumspect answer at may magpe-present ng more emotional answer. So, hindi ko alam. Hindi ako privy sa strategy ng Malacanang. No? Pero, ayun lang, iwasan maging defensive. I agree na kinakailangan sagutin agad.
Okay.
Pero ang pinakamahalaga ay yung conduct. How you answer this. Di ba?
You made mention kanina of the timing is a bit suspect, that it might be a trigger, if I'm getting you right, it might be a trigger for a move towards this destabilization, especially in light of what is expected to be a large mass action, possibly 3 days, starting this weekend. What are you hearing? Are we looking at things moving in that direction starting from here?
Well, a few days back, parang merong mga chismis na baka maging 1 day na lang, which is practically a retreat from the original plan na 3 days. At kung 3 days, mas malamang uprising yan. Kung 1 day, mas indignation rally yan. Kaya ngayon, mukhang wala na yung 1 day na yan. Mukhang yung mangyayari next week ay either 3 days or more.
Or more?
Oo. So, itong alleged expose ni Zaldy Co at itong magiging 3 or more days na rally next week are meant to trigger something. No? Are meant to trigger something. No? Pero I doubt, for now, kung merong matitrigger na withdrawal of support or destabilization ng military. For now, kaya for now, itong expose, isang expose, at ang matitrigger niyan ay yung rally next week. Pero I doubt for now kung makaka-trigger siya ng something else, like a withdrawal of support. No? Pero alam mo naman sa Pilipinas, things can change almost overnight. Katulad nitong nangyari today.
Actually, Ronald, no, meron pa nga yung rally on November 30 at mas malaki yon. There are still 2 weeks to go towards that rally. Pero sinabi mo sa Facebook, sabi mo, kapit mga kababayan, brace yourselves, be very vigilant. November is shaping up to be an extraordinarily turbulent ride. So what can we expect in the coming days and weeks?
Well, yung November 30 will continue. Nationwide yan. At very active yan yung Catholic Church. No, na hindi kasama dito sa 16 to 18. Ikalawa, tuloy yung rally sa 23 sa EDSA Shrine, anniversary Christ the King yan, no? Activity na ina-approximate yung November 30. Pero ang tingin ko ay itong mga forces na ito ay baka magkaroon ng earlier mobilizations. No, dahil nga dito sa drama, dahil dito sa nangyayari ngayon, no? Kaya hindi ako mabibigla na sometime next week ay magkakaroon din ng mobilization itong mga nagpaplano ng November 30 at November 23 na yes, dapat parusahan ng mga corrupt, yes, dapat isoli yung ninakaw, pero no to a military junta. Yan yung message nila, no? Sa November 30, November 23 at possibly within the week. Next week.
Okay. I apologize, but I have to stick in one more question before we let you go. Why do you say that you
Apology
doubt...
accepted.
Okay. Well, why do you say you doubt that this will trigger anything? When at the same time, you're also saying na baka hindi na 1 day, baka 3 days na yung rally or more. Kumbaga, humaba pa lalo, which makes it a little bit more alarming.
Yeah, dahil una, nag-loyalty check kanina yung armed forces
Okay.
led by General Browner. Second, alam naman natin a week before na parang nag-hesitate yung mga possible military plotters dahil nga sa statement or dahil sa tawag dito, dahil sa pressure ng Catholic Church. At ikatlo, yung diplomatic community. Meron silang direct at saka indirect pressures dito sa laban sa isang military junta. Well, I think yung ganyang klaseng pressure is holding. For now. For now, it's holding. Kaya I doubt kung magkakaroon ng military component or a withdrawal of support itong mga rallies na ito kahit mahigit 3 days. 3 days.
Okay.
No? Dahil yung pinag-uusapan natin last week, I think ko still holds.
Okay.
Na ayaw nila yung i-install, ayaw nila yung possible influence ng ating invader sa West Philippine Sea, which is
Our
China.
bigger neighbor. Okay. I get you there. Pero, Bok, you do remember na as far as loyalty checks go, nobody ever admits that they're going to be disloyal when they do a loyalty check.
Yes, kung wala yung context ng simbahan, kung wala yung context ng diplomatic community, no, ay pwede mong sabihin na, pan lang yan, kaplastikan lang yan. Pero dahil nandun yun, nakakadagdag siya dito sa loyalty check na ginagawa. Mas nagiging credible yung loyalty check na yan. No?
Okay. Bok, maraming salamat ha. I'm afraid we're out of...
Then again, maraming options are on the table. Diba? May nagpo-post ng snap election, no? May nagpo-post ng succession, may nagpo-post na junta, may nagpo-post na status quo. No? So maraming possibilities next week.
Okay, that makes it even more interesting. Our resident political insider and heckler, Raul Llamas.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, the 3-day rally on accountability kicks off this weekend with authorities confident there will be no attempt to overthrow the government. Those stories and more when we return. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to the big story. VP Sara Duterte says she's not attending rallies in Metro Manila on Sunday. Earlier in the day, Duterte led the 90th anniversary of the celebration of the OVP. Also present there were former VPs who later became presidents, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and Joseph Estrada. In the event, VP Sara said she only attends rallies abroad, but she has a reminder to the government on how to treat the mass actions.
Wala akong, sa lahat ng mga rallies, wala akong schedule. Dito sa Pilipinas, ang mga rallies na ginagawa namin ay laging nasa overseas or abroad. Pero I commit and I call on the administration, the government to respect the right of the people to freedom of speech and expression. Huwag masyado silang maging balat sibuyas.
On rumors of a brewing coup, Duterte accused the administration of being paranoid and of silencing critics. She cited the case of her father, former President Duterte, now detained in The Hague upon an ICC arrest.
Ang balita ko, nasimula sila maging paranoid noong nagbabiyahe sila abroad. Na natatakot sila na wala na silang babalikan dito sa bayan natin. At nakikita nyo naman yung paranoia nila sa mga actions nila tulad nung panggigipit sa mga kababayan natin na nagsasalita kontra sa kanila, panggigipit sa mga taong gustong mag-witness sa mga kaso laban sa mga government officials natin ngayon na aliado ng administrasyon.
As to the 2028 presidential election, Duterte says she still has no plans, nor is she already thinking of Senator Amy Marcos as a running mate. For now, she has other concerns.
Inaantay ko lang kung kailan nila ako ikukulong. But apparently hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin nila mabuo-buo talaga kung ano yung strategy nila, paano nila ako ikulong. Dahil wala talaga silang ebidensya ng maling ginawa.
Speaking of rallies, the Defense Department once again downplayed alleged mass action efforts against the government in the run-up to this weekend's rallies. Defense Secretary Guibot Teodoro says he is not worried that the protests will turn into a coup. He said that by now the public should get used to these political noise.
There will be all these agitations, there will be this. We have to learn to live with it. And we have to learn to ignore it. There's no worry from our side, no? Politika ito, walang epekto sa armed forces tsaka sa police, no?
The defense chief also understated the presence of retired army officials who continue to denounce the Marcos government. He is confident that this group can no longer convince active soldiers to join any uprising.
How many are they? Actually, they're very few. The bulk of the retired officials, they do not speak for retired officials.
Meantime, the AFP assures that its members remain loyal to the government and the Constitution. They also called on organizers of the weekend rallies to look after their ranks as certain elements could infiltrate the protests and spark chaos. The Iglesia ni Cristo and United People's Initiative, or UPI, a group of retired generals, will be conducting their respective quote-unquote accountability rallies in Manila and Quezon City starting this Sunday.
To make sure na hindi po sila masingitan. Dahil may mga nagre-report po sa atin, pati na rin sa Philippine National Police na baka maaring masingitan sila. At may mga infiltrators at baka may magpasabog ng granada. Nakakatakot po yun. Huwag na po kayong umasa na ang Armed Forces of the Philippines ay gagawa ng unconstitutional activities, or we will not resort to unconstitutional means to bring about change. We will stick to the rule of law.
And joining us tonight to talk about today's developments is Navotas Congressman Toby Tiangco. Sir, magandang hapon. Magandang gabi. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, good evening, Ed.
Sir, I hope hindi pa ka nagsasawa sa amin, pero we still need to press a few issues here. You told our sister program a while ago, yung Storycon, absent ako kanina pero you told the Storycon kanina that the President on November 24, 2024, angrily confronted the Speaker about corruption in government projects and in the budget. If you don't mind, I'd like to go a little bit into more detail. Exactly how much did the President appear to know, how much detail did the President appear to know about the goings-on as far as corruption in the House were concerned?
Okay, ganito. Okay, pinatawag kami. It was a family Sunday lunch.
Yes, sir.
When I arrived there, wala po si former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Then pinatawag siya. I think he was in late at that time. Dumating siya doon, and after lunch, pinapasok kami doon sa parang office ni Presidente, at pag-upo namin, nagalit siya. Okay, ganito ang eksaktong sabi niya. Pag-upo namin, sabi niya, Martin, kayo ni Zaldy, kinukuha niyo lahat ng pera ng executive branch, yung mga flagship projects, kinukuha niyo yung mga pondo.
Opo.
Kaya 3 taon na ako dito, wala pa akong napapagawa dahil sobra na kayo sa Congress. At sobra ang corruption dyan sa inyo sa Congress. Yun yung eksaktong sinabi niya. At sabi niya, alam mo na wala akong natatanggap dyan.
Okay, that much is clear, sir. Now, I asked that question kasi, of course, it is appreciated that the President is calling out his own cousin as far as yung reports of corruption are concerned. On the other hand po, his critics could also say na after that November meeting, it took him 8 months before he finally blew his top and say, mahiya naman kayo. And in the meantime, the only thing that was done between that time and between that meeting and the mahiya naman kayo speech was to cut the insertions by, I don't know, 28 billion. But no charges, no investigation, and nothing at all in between. So that also raises po that question.
Hindi, di ba? Ed, sinabi ko na ang ginawa niya right after, kasi nung meeting na yun, nangako si Speaker Martin na we will restore the flagship projects and whatever is needed in the budget, we will restore it. So ang nangyari, nung January, hindi naman na-restore, hindi natupad yon. So ang nangyari, di ba, nung hindi natupad yon, tinanggal namin si Zaldy Co as APRO chairman.
Yes,
Okay?
sir.
And then after that, right after mapasa yung budget, kasi there was no time to veto all the items, di ba sinabi ko na dati pa na pinahold niya lahat ng items na pumasok sa insertion. No?
Yes, sir.
So pinahold niya yon at kaya nga ako nasama dito sa gulunto kasi sa akin aral kung ano yung mga insertions na yon, di ba? Sinabi ko na rin yan dati. And I know as of July 29, parang 80 plus billion yung hindi na ma-release out of 209 na insertion ng House of Representatives. Kasi yung mukhang kaduda-duda. Yung iba, na-release yun. So meron siyang ginawa. Hindi totoo na wala siyang ginawa. Otherwise, pinalusot na yun, di ba?
Yes, sir.
So the fact na pinaaral sa akin, pinakuha yung records, unang-una, the fact na hinold. So merong ginawa.
Pero Kong, dagdagan ko lang yung sinabi ni Kong. Kasi ang dami niyang pwedeng gawin. Marami siyang options pwede niyang i-reenact. I know nobody wants that, pero if he wanted to be firm, he could have gone that way. Would you know, since magkaibigan kayo and you're related by marriage, what was the thought process there? Why decide to just sign it and pa-veto-veto kung ano yung makita niya?
Kasi hindi talaga pwedeng re-enacted budget. Ang sama nung epekto nun sa ekonomiya, di ba? May remedyo naman, di ba? May remedyo naman and the remedy was done, di ba? Hindi dinabas yung mga projects na kaduda-duda. So the fact na hindi naglabas ng 84 billion, may ginawa, di ba? It was the same as vetoing it, di ba? Kung line item veto niya 84 billion na yon, hindi rin malalabas. So yung hindi niya pag-veto ng buong budget does not mean na wala siyang ginawa. Yung epekto ng pag-hold at hindi pagpayag na gastusin yung 84 billion, pareho ng epekto as if vinito niya. Ang difference lang nun, kung vinito niya, hindi na nakasulat sa budget yon. Dito, nakasulat sa budget, hindi lang ma-implement. So hindi magagastos yung pera. So may ginawa.
Congressman, after that November 24 meeting, sinabi niyo po na pinagalitan pa rin ni BBM si former Speaker Romualdez kahit na he was abroad, he was in Dubai, parang pinapagalitan pa rin niya via text, no? And then he even said leadership change. But what happened, Congressman, from November until the 20th Congress? Because Speaker Martin Romualdez was even re-elected as House Speaker. And what transpired or what triggered the President to finally say in his SONA, no, yung mahiya naman kayo?
Hindi, okay. Yung November 24 yon, linggo yon. And then, November 26 yata, pumunta siya ng Dubai, no? And November 26 and November 27, nung nasa Singapore ako, kausap ko lagi si former Speaker Martin Romualdez. Sinasabi niya sa akin, bakit ba ganito si Presidente? Ano pa to? Hanggang nahandun sa Dubai, ako pa rin yung pinapagalitan. Tinetext ako. Then I think it was the Wednesday, so 24... 25, 26, hindi ko alam kung Tuesday o Wednesday yon. So 26 o 27, Speaker Martin calls me again. Tapos sabi niya, ito, galit pa rin sa akin hanggang ngayon, nakarating na ng Pilipinas, galit pa rin sa akin at tinext ako ng change of leadership. So sabi ko sa kanya, kasi naman, sobra naman talaga yung ginagawa ni Zaldy Co na 20%. At as I said earlier doon sa isang programa ninyo, that's when I told him, pati nga ako, nakiusap ako sa isang tao malapit sa iyo kasi inisip ko hindi niya hihingan ng 20%. Sinabi lang sa akin, discounted 10%. When I told the speaker that, ang sabi niya sa akin, dapat dumiretso ka lang sa akin, which I got very disappointed, di ba? Di dapat pinatawag niya si Zaldy Co at pinagalitan.
Well, sir, don't get us wrong. Much appreciated yung inyong role dito in stemming the hemorrhage of government fund or public funds. I think my question has more to do with yes, the president tried to shut off the faucet, but he did not cut the arm. In other words, he held on to the money para hindi mailabas, pero no investigation, no charges filed, nothing. Kumbaga, kung anong nakaraan, goodbye Philippines na po yun. That's also a
Kaya
question
nga,
there.
di ba? Kaya nga nagsalita na siya, di ba? Nagsalita na siya nung SONA, di ba? Di ba nagsalita siya?
Yes, sir. But that was 8 months later. Yes, sir. I understand, sir. But it did take a long time, and then of course we're looking at a series of events that led to the SONA that was almost a year.
Was it because of the midterm elections, Congressman?
No, it had nothing to do with yung hindi niya pagtanggal kay Speaker Martin? Are you referring to that, or what are you referring to?
To investigate, Congressman, itong mga
Yes, sir.
insertions.
In other words, if the president knew so much already about the corruption in Congress by both the Speaker and Zaldy Co, shouldn't he have done something to investigate or charge the two of them, or the rest of those who were involved as early as November or December or January or February?
Hindi, yun na nga, di ba nag-gather ng ebidensya, di ba? Kasi nabirinig na natin yung 20%, no? But isipin mo, as of now, sino ba wala naman sa Congress nagsasalita, di ba? Ako lang.
Yes, sir.
Di ba? So, ako, hindi natuloy yung transaksyon sa akin kasi sinabi ko, hindi ko kayang sabihin dun sa district engineer. So, ang question, Ed, at hindi ko makita sino nandiyan, si Shawn ba, tsaka si Pauline?
Shawn and Pauline.
Shawn and Pauline.
Ang tanong kasi dyan, ang dami nagtatanong, bakit ikaw lang nagsasalita? Sabi ko, isipin nyo, yung mga natuloy yung transaksyon, magsasalita ba yung mga yun kung nakabili sila kung kinagat nila yung offer ni Zaldy Co na 20%, do you expect them na magsalita? Siyempre hindi, di ba? Kaya nga, nahanapan ng ebidensya yan para talagang makulong yung dapat makulong.
Okay, sir. Sir, maraming salamat, sir. We really appreciate the time that you gave us and also the efforts that you did for most of the year. But maraming salamat po, Navotas Congressman Toby Tiangco.
On that note, we're going to pause for another break, but when we return, Juan Ponce and realist daughter Katrina shares her family's last moments with the so-called ultimate political survivor. The details when the big story returns. Keep it here.
The big story is back with Katrina Ponce and really claiming her father worried about the nation's health more than his own. In an interview with News 5, Katrina says her father kept abreast with national issues, including the flood control scandal. He even asked frequently about President Marcos amid controversies in his administration.
Nambibilin po siya sa akin na how is Bongbong, how is the president, I said, Dad, can you just relax? Actually, prior to him getting sick, we were supposed to be meeting with the president, but for some reason, the meeting never happened. He loves the country, although he may have different views towards what's best for the country, but he always thought what was best all the time for the country and to his last breath.
Katrina says they will remember principles shared by her father to not hate and to be humble. She describes her father as serious yet simple, who loved reading, computer games, and social media. And he is lying in state at the chapel in the family's Makati home with only family and close relatives allowed entry. The wake will be open to the public from November 16 to November 18 and November 20 to 21, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Mass will be celebrated at 6 p.m. daily.
On to another former Senate president. Senator Ces Escudero is facing multiple complaints before the ombudsman over alleged irregularities worth over 352 million pesos. That is during his tenure as the governor of Sorsogon. The complaints filed by private lawyer Eldridge Marvin Aceron include graft, technical malversation, falsification, and gross misconduct. Meantime, attorney Jesus Falsis and several private individuals have also filed a complaint against Escudero. They are accusing him of violating the Omnibus Election Code for accepting a campaign donation from a contractor in 2022. On September 29, Escudero filed a disbarment complaint against Falsis for alleged defamatory remarks made online.
And before we go this Friday, renowned human rights lawyer Amal Clooney and her husband, Hollywood star George Clooney, are here in Manila for the 2025 Social Good Summit. The Clooneys arrived in the country earlier today, greeted by the all-women founders of news website Rappler. The couple also paid a courtesy call on President Bongbong Marcos in Malacanang. Amal and George will speak about global challenges to free speech and civil liberties in the summit, alongside Nobel Peace Prize laureate and Rappler CEO Maria Ressa. Social Good Summit is an annual gathering of community members, partners, supporters, and readers.
Wow. George Clooney, the hunk of my generation. Sorry, Bob. Don't cringe.
Hindi, nag-text sa akin kanina.
Wow! May
Okay,
courtesy
saan tayo?
din.
Friday ngayon.
Si George Michael yun.
Iba palang George.
Well, gusto ko rin yun. Wham.
Okay, but what an eventful Friday.
I know, right? What's gonna happen today? What's gonna happen on Monday?
What's gonna happen on Monday?
Or
and
Sunday?
This weekend.
On Sunday.
Pero off kasi kami pag Sunday. I think...
Wala namang off pag may nag... Wala, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that word.
Well, the news never sleeps. But for this week, that's it for the big story. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back here on Monday at 7:30 p.m. Pero marami pang mangyari. Bago yun, we'll see you then.
Kapatid, we are one news, all sides, all the time. Happy weekend.